Hey there troopers, this is Random Game Channel and I'm back with another gameplay tips-like video. This is a viewer requested video and what we're going to talk about today is about all the different weapons that we currently have in the game. We're going to talk about the attachments for each of these weapons and also what I would consider to be the best weapon for each class. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Depending on who you ask, you're going to get a different answer. Alright, so these are my thoughts and opinions. They will differ from a lot of different people. So, just want to let you know. Alright, the disclaimer out of the way. Let's talk about all the primary weapons. We're going to talk about them going left to right. And we're not going to worry about, we're not really going to talk about max leveling these weapons. We're going to assume that you've got everything unlocked already. Alright, you've grinded your way through all these things. Now you're ready to, start experimenting with your loadouts. Alright, so first one up, TW2 Split Shotgun, the auto version. Okay, so we're going to talk about all these weapons first, then we're going to go into what I think is best for each class. Alright, so this shotgun, this crazy thing, the room sweeper, the street cleaner, whatever you want to call this thing. Well, it's natively a slug shotgun. You're going to be running by default 20 rounds. They go by really fast. You get 7 mags by default. And you'll notice that this thing's a drum magazine, so you don't load them one by one like the other shotgun. Alright, so this thing can be fired in semi-automatic and full auto. It's a slug, I believe. Great at short range, performs okay at mid range, but forget it if you're trying to hit something at long range. That's not what the shotgun's for. That's not what a lot of shotguns are not really made for, right? Close quarters combat. So the attachments, well, let's take a look at them. You're gonna have your, regular reflex sight that you get for all the other weapons. You get the bug shot. This is gonna switch to projectile from being 1 slug to 6 pellets. We're gonna lose 25% stagger damage, but the armor piercing rating becomes 3, which you can see without that modification, it's a 1. So stagger just causes the enemy to stop moving and forces them to kind of flinch a little bit. So that's what stagger is. So you're basically trading off slug for pellets, and you're kind of decreasing the amount of stagger you can cause. Next is the quick reload magazine. That just allows you to reload just a little bit faster. For me personally, I've never really seen it make too much of a difference, so I don't really bother with that. Next is the hammer rounds. You lose 20% your damage, but you gain 50% stagger damage. You can stun smaller arachnids. I wonder if it'll change the numbers here if we click on it. No, it doesn't. Why would it? Alright, it'd be nice to see it reflected here to give you a better, preview of what these numbers will look like here. But basically what this is, you're changing your, trading off your primary damage for being able to stun, or not stun, like stagger things a lot better. Next is the extended mags. Basically, you get 50% more magazines, but or 50% magazine size, so you get more shotgun shells per magazine, but you lose one magazine in your reserves. Not that bad of a trade-off. I pretty much always have extended magazines for everything that I use because you can shoot for longer without having to reload, which in this game, once the bugs start to rush you, you're gonna wish you had more shots before you reload. Skins are skins, we don't really need to talk about that. Let's talk about the Marina Mark 1 carbine, okay? So this thing does not perform very well at long range. Short range, it performs pretty good, but it starts to suffer when you get to mid-range targets, okay? So you can see it's a lot shorter than, if we can change to the Marina, it's a lot shorter than the Marina Mark 1. That's because it's a carbine. That's what it is. It's a shorter version of it. Alright. So with the carbine, you're not going to be plinking targets at very long range. Like, you still can, but the damage is not going to be very great. You get the reflex, get the quick reload magazine, just like a lot of other things, and you get the FMJ rounds. Just makes the weak point modifier a little bit stronger, and it increases the armor piercing rating to 4. So if you're having a hard time aiming at the weak point of a bug, consider using FMJ rounds. I use it all the time. I mean, I consider myself to have a pretty decent shot, but in the chaotic battlefield, things always get a little crazy. So why not just go with FMJ rounds? You don't have to be as precise with your shots. You still, can put a bug down relatively easy with this. Next is the compensator. I always recommend having this on, because why not? It just makes the recoil a little bit more controllable. You might see this make more of a difference when you're using the saw, Marina Mark 3 saw. That thing has a very bad recoil, so you gotta slap this thing on. There's no con to slapping this modification on anyway, so just put it on there. Next one is just the extended magazines, because why not? Better than a quick reload magazine. You use the quick reload magazine, you're gonna have less rounds to shoot with. Not that great when you have a wave of bug chasing you down. I don't recommend it. Next one is the Marina Mark 3 saw. This behemoth is the big old machine gun of the game. As you can see, it's huge. Alright. So we get the reflex sight, just like normal. Quick reload magazine, compensator, extended magazines, and then this one actually has hollow point rounds. It makes the weak point modifier, or a weak point multiplier, times 2, so you'll be dealing 2 times 1.25 damage. So what? Math. 1.25 times 2. That's like 2. You'd be doing 2.5 times extra damage if you hit the weak point. However, the armor piercing rating becomes 2. You're basically trading off spray and pray for precision accuracy, precision shots. So if you're really good at aiming and getting your sights on the weak points, that's something you want to consider using. But that's too much work for me. So I just use FMJ wherever I can, or I just turn it off because it makes my shots a lot harder to land. That's up to you though. Now this one, my number one favorite weapon is TW202L Morita Hawkeye, or people just call it the Hawkeye. This thing is so good. It's a semi-automatic weapon, very accurate, long-range weapon, and this is like a marksman rifle. I like using this a lot on all the other classes except for the Guardian, but we'll get into that detail later. So with this one, you get a 3x scope, and you get a reflex sight. Now, if you're going to be using a marksman rifle, you might as well use the 3x scope so you can accurately shoot at longer range targets like gunners. Like those things kill troopers easy and they kill them fast, and they're very aggressive. Next is the extended magazines and the quick reload magazines. Like I'm always saying, I don't use quick reload. I use extended magazines. More shots before you reload. If you like shooting less and reloading more often, you can use a quick reload magazine. But that's not for me. I like the extended magazines. Next one is the vented barrel. You get minus 50% recoil. You get minus 20% bullet velocity, meaning your shots will be more controllable, but the bullet itself will take a little bit longer to get to the target, I think. If that's what I assume bullet velocity is. They'll have less power to deliver it faster. However, for me, I don't really see a big difference in bullet velocity if I have it on or off. I don't see a difference if I have this equipped or not. However, the 50% recoil difference is noticeable. I like it. I always equip it. So armor piercing is going to be at 3. Deals pretty good damage for most of the warriors, I think. Not most, like all the warrior bugs. I think it takes like 4 shots to put it down. So pretty good. I like using this rifle. It does get a little tough when you're swarmed by bugs in close quarters, but I like that trade-off. High damage, precision, with a scope. This is a well-rounded weapon. I really enjoy using this. Alright, moving on to the C-32 Chi-Hung grenade launcher. I used to use this thing so much in early access on the operator. For those of you that don't know it, the operator used to be what the medic was and what the engineer was, and they split it off to medic and engineer. But this thing of destruction, man, so good. Drum-fed grenade launcher. Not a lot of modifications to it because it doesn't really need it. However, what we do have now, what we didn't have before, this is a pretty recent update, is double pack drums. Basically, you're getting 100% drum mag capacity. So this will become, I think, 12 rounds, if I remember this right. But you just lose 1 mag. Not too much of a problem. The magazine size on this thing was always limited. But I think that's a good trade-off anyways, because what you lose in one mag, you gain in the size of the mag, right? So yeah, I would strongly encourage you to, you know, use this. Why not? Next is adhesive rounds. So you're going to get 400% explosive damage. However, you're going to lose 100% impact damage. You have a higher stagger damage. There's a 2-second fuse timer on this thing, meaning like once you shoot it, it's going to take 2 seconds for it to explode. And there's a 2-meter explosive range. So 1 meter, if I remember this right, is about 1.3 to 1.5 feet, if that really matters for anything in the game, where, you know, I have a hard time gauging distance. Who cares? Who cares about the explosives range? It blows things up, and this does it marvelously. This thing no longer stuns. So, you know, typically without this thing, you shoot a bug with a grenade launcher, it'll stun them, you know, cause them to just like, whoa, like, kind of get shocked for a second, right? Kind of like shell shocked. They don't really move. So it doesn't do that anymore, but what you lose in all those negatives, you get really good positives. Like you get way more damage. So something to consider if you want a bug dead and you want it like dead good. So consider using adhesive rounds. Alright. Moving on to the bane of my existence, TW2 split shotgun. This was a major pain in the ass to max level. It was worse than leveling up the flamethrower, because it took forever to kill anything. But in my quest to max level this thing, I've realized that this weapon is pretty good at what it's supposed to do. A lot of people don't like it, but I actually, let's be honest, quite enjoyed using it. The only downside, it's a tube fed, meaning right here, there's no magazine, there's no drum mag. This is all tube. You gotta be really careful when using this thing. Once you empty the tube, you're gonna need to reload it by putting 1 shell in here, I believe, and then the rest can be loaded through the bottom here through the port. So you gotta load it through the ejection port, and then you load it normally through here at the bottom of the tube. That takes time. That animation is really long to do that. And when you're in the heat of combat, swarmed by bugs, reloading this thing when you're from 0, it's going to be a pain in the ass. So what I'm trying to say is, don't fire all 7 rounds. You want to save the last shell and then just reload it. Okay, trust me, it's a pain in the ass to reload it from 0. So, attachments, modifications, whatever you want to call them. Reflex sight, normal. You get buckshot. So this one, it's a little bit different than for the auto shotty. Okay, so let's take a look at this one. It says larger pellets are more effectively pierce through arachnid carapace. So you lose 50% of the pellets that you shoot with this shotgun, but you get plus 66% damage. Raises armor piercing from 1 to 3. Okay. So keep this in mind. TW2 split shotgun is different from the auto version. The auto version is slug based. This one, TW2 split shotgun, pellet based. Pick your poison, which one you want to use. Alright. So if you like pump shotguns, go with this. If you like full auto shotguns, go with the other one. However, we also have one more shotgun. This is TW2 Split Shotgun Slug. Alright, so same thing. Has no magazine, it's tube fed. Reach 0, you gotta load it through the ejection port and then load it through the bottom here. Again, don't let yourself run to 0 because it takes a long time to load through the ejection port and through the bottom. The animation is really long, and you know, for this style of shotgun, your shots going to have to count. You only have the reflex sight, and you only get the long magazine tube. Meaning you get 50% magazine tube size and you lose one mag. Well, I prefer to have extra shells in the tube before I have to reload. That's all you get for the slug. This thing can hit targets at long range, but the damage output at long range is going to be very small. Not worth trying to snipe with this thing because you're not going to kill nothing with it. Alright, trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. Alright, so those are, I believe, all the shotguns that we have available in this game. Alright, so yeah, this bad boy is, make it spin. Could be hard to use if you are always swarmed by bugs because it takes forever to reload. My rule of advice, or my tip that I like to give for these pump action shotguns, whenever you find a little break in fighting, just reload. Even if it's just like a few seconds, that extra shell or two that you load can make a difference. Reload often, and always try to keep this thing topped off. Never let it reach 0. Okay, that's my tip for you. The Marita Mark 1, no longer unlocked by level 1. I think they're unlocked at level 4 now. But this thing, if you want, like, oops, you gotta select it first. Forgot. Okay, so now we got selected. Let's go over it. So if you want a reliable, well-rounded weapon, go with the Marita Mark 1. So with this one, you get several different attachments. Reflex sight, quick reload magazine, FMG rounds, the compensator. You might as well put it on because the recoil instinct can be a little bit tough if you're not accustomed to it. Extended magazines, and then a hollow point round, so it gets a lot of stuff. So this thing, I like using it every once in a while. You know, armor piercing is 3, which is like the middle ground for everything. It's kind of like, I like to say it's like the average. This thing can perform okay at long range, but it's really just a close range to medium range weapon. It can help reduce the health of bugs at long range, but you're gonna have a really hard time killing bugs at long range with this thing. So if you want to use the iconic weapon from the first movie, this is the thing you want to use. Alright. Get some water. water. Good for you. Alright. So, moving on to the Merida XXX Sniper Rifle. This is a bolt-action sniper rifle that is huge. Look at this thing. One hit kills all warrior bugs. So this thing, if you really want to delve into like the sniper like aspect of this game, this is the weapon you want to use. You get the 6x scope, 4x scope, 2x scope. We'll go over these in just a second. Get a quick reload magazine, vented barrel. You should really consider using this thing because the recoil on this weapon can be a little crazy if you're not used to it. Then you get extended magazines. But let's talk about the scopes. Because they do kind of make the weapon handle a little bit differently. We'll start with the lowest magnification. At 2x scope, or at, using the 2x scope, it's not going to really allow you to see very far, and I don't really know anyone that uses the 2x. It's just like slightly better than the reflex because it zooms a little bit better, but it's not my preferred scope. The 4x scope is great. It doesn't really give you weapon sway as much as, say, the 6x scope. I like using the 4x because it's like a nice middle ground of the two, and I don't seem to have like any issues with like weapon scope swaying. I just don't like it. You do kind of lose out on some magnification because it's 4, but I like it. I like it more than the 6. Why? Because when you use the 6x scope, for whatever reason, at least when I use it, the weapon sway is super like noticeable and it throws my shots off. And it just zooms in a little too much. Sometimes you'll be shooting something at close mid-range, meaning like it's mid-range but not quite close, like the in-between being like close and short range. I mean short range and medium range, like the weird gray zone between the two. And it makes it a lot harder to land your shots because it's like way too zoomed in. However, at super long range, this will help you dial in your shots. But, you don't really need to use a 6x. The 4x is good enough to allow you to see the bug in clear, crisp detail. And if you have good experience, you got good accuracy, you don't really need a 6x scope to land a hit on a bug. Maybe if you're trying to hit the weak spot of like, I don't know, a warrior that's like super far away, this might help. But most times, you just need to hit the bug on the body and it'll die. So, whatever scope you want to use, it's up to you, but I recommend using 4x. Alright, moving on to TWD or TDW-99 Merida Tactical SMG. That's a mouthful, just call it the SMG. I don't like this weapon, I hate it. It's my least favorite weapon ever. It took me forever to max level this thing. I max leveled it rather recently. I hate using this thing. I hate it so much. Just want to let that be known. I don't like this weapon. It's like a pea shooter. It doesn't hit very hard. It burns through ammo so fast, and yet it won't really kill anything. I hate this thing so much. It's either a weapon that you love or you hate, and I'm the group that hates it. This is the ultimate spray and pray weapon. It's incredibly hard to get any kills on this thing because the damage is like doesn't really do enough, but you make up for it by pouring down so much lead on the bugs. But you know, when you do pour the lead on them, they still don't really die as quickly as other weapons. This thing is good at close range, and you can't even perform very well at mid-range with this weapon. This is strictly a close range weapon. Do not try to hit anything at mid-range with this thing because it's not really going to kill it. You're better off using a peacemaker, which I also hate. But we'll get to that when we get there. Reflex sight. I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. I recommend using the reflex sight on this thing because without it, you're gonna be staring through this like bar, these two parallel bars here, and your field of view with iron sights on this weapon is total garbage. It basically blocks your entire screen, and all you can see is this tiny little square of space that's like right here. Complete garbage. I don't like it. Get quick reload, extended magazines, you get FMJ. I recommend using the FMJ because this will give you a higher armor piercing value. You're at 1 naturally. With it, you get 4. That'll just allow you to punch holes into bugs a little bit easier, which this thing needs so desperately. Next is a compensator. I recommend using it even with this thing on. The recoil is still incredibly hard to control. Do not full auto this thing. You're gonna burn through your ammo fast, and chances are it's gonna spray all over the place. I recommend burst firing with this weapon. That way you can conserve your ammo, and whoever else is with you on the ground can help you kill the bugs. So yeah. If you like fighting in close quarters, and only in close quarters, this is the weapon you want to use. But then again, if you're going to fight in close quarters, you might as well use a shotgun, because it's going to kill your standard warrior in 1 to 2 hits. Rated SMG ain't going to do that. Alright, moving on to the flamethrower. Leveling up this thing was pretty tough, but it was a lot easier than the twin split shotgun because you can just spray a group of bugs with this, and whoever else kills the bugs, you're gonna get the XP for it. You know, just like how you normally do. But the advantage over the shotguns in terms of like getting XP, this thing can quite literally just spray a bug and fire. And whoever gets that last shot on the bugs will kill it, you get XP, they get XP, everyone gets full XP. This thing can rack up pretty quick. So you got some new modifications here. We got this rather recently. So if anyone's watching my older videos, this is different now. So first one is lightweight tanks. You get 50% movement speed while firing. However, let's see, what's the downside? Allow the users to wield this without slowing down their advance. The Federation only moves forward. There is a downside to this. What's the plus side? I guess that's not here anymore because they used to. I'm pretty sure there used to be like a negative to this thing. Maybe it's like a smaller magazine size because it's a lightweight tank. pretty sure you used to have an extra line of text here. But you also get a high capacity tank. Basically, you get 50% fuel capacity per tank. You just lose one tank in your reserves here, so you get like 2. You get other nozzle modifications. The turbojet one, it gives you plus 40% slowdown on enemies within the flame jet, plus 15% fuel consumption. So with this modification, you can now slow down bugs that are, advancing on you. However, you use 15% more fuel. That's the trade-off for this one. So if you're, engineers will still have a hard time with this weapon because you start with this as the default weapon. And between these two, I'd probably say you might want to use the turbojet. But let's take a look at the hybrid igniter. So you get minus 25% fuel consumption, but you deal 50% less damage versus corpses. So, this thing's great because you spend less fuel to light a bug on fire, but you deal less damage to corpses. In this game, the bugs don't disappear when they're dead. In this game, they made it a game mechanic where their corpses stay on the battlefield until it's destroyed. This weapon, it was made to help destroy bug corpses, but with this attachment, you'll have a harder time doing that. So between the two, I recommend using the turbojet nozzle because it'll slow down bugs that are trying to advance on you. Very important because it only takes 1 to 2 hits, maybe 3 sometimes, for a bug to kill you. So slowing them down will buy you enough time to keep backing up, or another trooper to help you kill the bug that you're setting on fire. Don't go full auto on this thing, just kind of spray, spray the bug and let go. Spray the bug and then let go of the trigger. This will help you conserve your fuel. So yeah. Next is ePulse 88 CSW. I used to not like the ePulse weapons, but with the new modifications that we got, it's made them very viable, and I enjoy using them. I enjoy using the ePulse 88 CSW over the Merida Saw. Because this thing can kill bugs rather quickly. And the only downside is that this weapon, when you fire it, it'll push you back a little bit. Whereas with a saw, the recoil is just redonkulous. It's very heavy, even if you're crouching. But let's talk about the modifications. So it's got stabilized sabos. It's going to give you 50% extra projectile range. You lose 1 magazine, but that's okay. This is great because now you can engage gunners. Gunners are always going to be at mid to long range. I hate gunners so much, but they're fun to kill. They're fun to hunt down. And this will allow you to reach out to them a little bit easier. Because this thing, before without it, good luck. You're not going to hit it because the max range on the projectiles on. This was garbage. Quick reload magazine, extended magazine. You get the DAX module. So with the DAX module, you'll be doing 50% extra fire rate. You lose 20% damage. You lose 20% punch through damage. You lose 20% projectile range. The negatives are okay because the loss in damage is made up for your increased fire rate. You're going to be dealing less damage to things that pierce through bugs. Hey, that's okay. What really matters is you get a faster fire rate, because this thing used to shoot super slow, okay? Don't worry about the 20% projectile range that you lose. You make up for it with stabilized sabos. Super capacitor. You get 100% punch through damage, meaning you pierce something, the target behind it is going to get 100% damage, normal damage. You lose 10% fire rate. I feel with a super capacitor, with this weapon already firing super slow, it's going to be very noticeable. I don't like using it. I liked using it at first, but then when I experimented with a DAX module with the stabilized sabos, found out that this thing sucks compared to DAX module. This thing's so good, you pair it with Sabo all the time. Alright. Flechette Sabo. Weak point modifier becomes 1.5 with minus 20% punch through damage. When would you use this? I don't know. I never used it because I don't like it. I don't find it as useful as, say, stabilized Sabo. So this is just so good with the max range being increased. It's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. Because if you can't hit a target at medium range, then what good are you? You can't help other troopers destroy those bugs. You effectively locked yourself out of combat. Why would you do that? So with the Sabo, with the stabilized Sabos, it's just going to allow you to punch a hole through a medium range target. Don't lock yourself out of combat, because at that point you become useless to the team, and the team will then have one less gun to shoot at bugs. So that's the tragedy of short range weapons like this and a shotgun. Alright, moving on to my second most favorite weapon of this entire game. E-Pulse 4482. This used to be a weapon I never used. I hated it. It was still better than the SMG, but I hated it. So this thing, just like all E-Pulse weapons, without the Sabo, without the stabilized Sabo modifications, it's not really great at mid-range. But with that stabilized Sabo modifications, like we were just talking about, it makes it so you can reach out and punch a gunner in the face. You have a 2x scope, you have a 4x scope. You don't really need the 4x scope because you're not going to be shooting that far. At most, you just need the 2x scope. Stabilized Sabo, quick reload, extended mags. Flechette Sabo, I wouldn't use it. Super capacitor, I wouldn't use it. I always use stabilized Sabos. What you might have noticed is that all the E-Pulse weapons have armor piercing 5, one of the highest armor piercing values in the game, besides the sniper rifle, which is at 5. See, what's the Hawkeye at? It's at a 5, right? Nope, it's at a 3. I read that wrong. It's average. Wonder what the Mark 1 is. 3. It's average. But, you know, armor piercing 5, it just allows you to kill bugs so much easier because it's penetrating their armor. So, if you want something that'll kill the bugs pretty good, try to find something that has armor piercing value 5. Alright, so that's all the primary weapons. What about the secondary weapons? This is all we got. So we'll go start off with the Peacemaker. The pistol I hate the most. It's useless at long range. Why would you want to lock yourself out of combat? Alright. So this thing, armor penetration of 3. It's alright. It's only really good at close range. Medium range, forget it. You're not gonna shoot very accurately with this thing. I don't like it. Reflex sight, extended magazines, FMJ rounds, quick reload magazines, and you get the hollow point. Pretty standard modifications, if I say so myself. Next up is the ePulse A1. Let's click on that. So this weapon, it's all armor piercing value 5, right? Because the ePulse family weapon. You get stabilized sabot shots, quick reload magazines, super capacitor, flechette, and you get extended magazines. As you can see, I have not max leveled this weapon at all. I barely touched it. It's at level 5. It sucks. I don't like using it. So this is, I still prefer this over the Peacemaker because like you can penetrate bugs, good for taking a thing out behind the thing you're shooting at. So like stat wise, you know, it's not terribly noticeably different, at least in my view. Damage isn't that much different. Rate of fire, it doesn't really matter. They're both pretty low. The range on this thing supposedly not that great. You know, when you equip it with the stabilized sabot modification, it's going to be better. So yeah, I just don't really use it. However, let's talk about my favorite, TW109E Emancipator. You can just call this the Emancipator. If you played Counter-Strike, this is the Deagle. If you played Call of Duty, this is the Desert Eagle. This thing hits hella hard. Recoil is pretty noticeable. But if you use this long enough, the recoil is not going to mean shit. Alright? Yes, you're going to be using this thing like a pro in no time. This thing hits hard, hits accurate, shoots a little bit slow. I like using this thing because if a bug is charging you, it's going to one-hit kill you in any game mode, pretty sure. Any difficulty, I mean. Maybe not on easy, but definitely on normal and hard, they're gonna kill you in a charge attack. This thing will stop that from happening because it stuns them, meaning that when you shoot them with the Emancipator, this thing's gonna cause them to flinch, and you buy yourself an extra couple of seconds. Enough to keep shooting at the bug or have someone else to help you kill that bug, or you can keep backpedaling and shooting. Reflex sight, extended mags, FMJ rounds. I always use this because it increases the armor piercing to 4. You can see it's natively a 2. Quick reload magazine. I don't get it. Why would you use it? Why would you use it at all? Use the extended magazine. It's better. you don't have to reload as like often, and you get more shots. Okay. Love using this. Love the Emancipator. Use it above these two. These two are not going to stop a bug from charging you. The Emancipator, though, it's a good backup weapon. Alright. Well, that's all of the weapons. Let's talk about the classes. Alright. Which one would be best for the class? But for that, I need to get a cough drop because my throat's getting dry. Let me get some water too. Okay, check OBS. Okay, it's still running. Alright, so the medic. My favorite class. Let's just start it off with the medic. I usually leave it for last. Let's start off with my favorite class. Alright, so with the medic, let's just talk about, you know, kind of like your role really quick, just in case you don't know. As a medic, you're not really meant to fight all the time. Basic rule of thumb is like everybody fights, no one quits. Right? Just like movies, but the medic is a little bit different because you have the power to save people. You got the power in your hands to prevent someone from like dying. And as a medic, I feel that you shouldn't be in close range combat because you need a clear line of view, clear line of sight around you to observe the battlefield and to see who needs healing and who needs to be revived. So with that in mind, the weapons I recommend that you use is E-Pulse 44A2. You're not going to be in close range, you're going to be medium range fighter. Next one is my favorite, Marita Hawkeye. This is a support role. A lot of their abilities and utilities are support based. And what better way to support the team than going after long range bugs? With the Marita Hawkeye, you can do that. It's well balanced. You can take out a majority of the bugs at long and medium range with little difficulty. But I'm primarily talking about gunners. Because those gunners, they will target anything and everything. But primarily, I seem to have a lot of problems with them as a medic. They go after me so much, they're a pain in the ass. So those are the two weapons I recommend using for the medic. Okay. And for the secondary weapon, I always use the Emancipator. It doesn't matter what class it is. If I have it equipped on one of these, it's because I'm trying to like max level the thing, but it's not because I enjoy using it. I enjoy using the Emancipator for every class. Alright, so hopefully that gives you an idea of what I use, what I think is the best. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that's my opinion. I could be different from other people, so you know, you ask somebody else out there, they're gonna say sniper rifle is best because you can shoot things at long range and it'll help them aim the medical drone easier because you can zoom in closer to where the target is. You don't need a sniper rifle. You don't need precision accuracy with the medical drone because that thing, no matter what scope you have, a rock or a tree can get in the way. What really matters is, side tangent, is getting the reticle for the medical drone to turn green. If it turns green, there's a pretty good chance it's going to revive your target. If it's red, don't worry about it. It's not going to revive nobody. No amount of zooming in is going to help with that. If you get in the general vicinity, turns green, it'll go and revive that person. So that's why I don't recommend using the sniper rifle. Because what if you go to revive a trooper and a bug is in close range? You're going to be able to kill that thing with a sniper rifle? You're going to be able to kill that thing with hip fire? I don't know, I can't. Not a lot of people can, so you know, you kind of lock yourself out of defending yourself. Like you can use your secondary weapon to, you know, kill any close range target, but those precious few seconds you take to switch between weapons might cost you your life. And then if you don't have any drone charges left on you, you die, then you fail the team. Your job on the role, and your job in this role, is to support people and not be in combat 100% of the time. Okay? Engineer. Look, it's already there. So, with the engineer, I recommend using the Hawkeye too. Again, like I'm saying, the engineer is a support role. You don't really want to be caught up in close range combat all the time. You want to kind of stand back and observe the battlefield. And if you can, just build up structures and stuff in the field wherever you think you might need it. So with this thing, you're going to be able to support the team at any range of combat. Alright. If you're looking for a second primary weapon to consider, let's see, what would be okay to use? If you want something dead, and if you're in close range, maybe I hate to say it, but it's gonna probably be the TW2 split pellet-based shotgun, wherever the hell it is. This one right here. At most, 2 to 3 shots if it's medium range for a standard warrior. If it's close range warrior, 1 shot. Another good candidate you might want to consider is actually the E-Pulse 44A2, because it can bypass a lot of the armor. But other than that, I don't really recommend anything else. People also say that the sniper rifle is really good because you can build your own ammo fabricators. So that's another viable option if you want to be more of a long-range fighter. That's up to you. I prefer using the Hawkeye. Let's see, a Ranger. So the Ranger, I don't really like using this class all too much. I don't find it to be enjoyable. It's meant to be kind of like a scout run and gun kind of thing. Oops, let me X up here. Okay, there we go. Let me check my phone too while I'm at it. Okay. What was I saying? We're on the... Who are we on? The Ranger? Oh yeah, we're on the Ranger. So this is meant to be a run and gun scout kind of class. So you need to be pretty mobile, and you need to be able to kill things in as little shots as possible. So for this class, if you want to be run and gun, kill stuff real fast, Where'd it go? You probably want to use the TW2 split shotgun slug. It's going to kill standard warrior in 1 to 2 shots. I don't recommend using the SMG because you're not going to kill anything as quickly as you want to. Some people really enjoy using the flamethrower because they're really good at mobility. I'm not really great at flying around as a ranger, so I don't really use this at all. But the split shotgun slug one is my top pick for this class. The other ones, they're alright. I don't really, use them on this class. Worth experimenting though. See what works for you. Sniper? Well, it depends if you want to kind of kill stuff in as little shots as possible, or you want to kill stuff with extra shots. It's really up to you. For me, traditionally, what I think of a sniper is a rifle like this one. Big old weapon that can put down things as little shots as possible. Gunners, drones, warriors, all gonna take one shot from this rifle. With a larger bug, like a grenadier, maybe 4 shots or more if it's not scanned. But I'm not going to talk about every single little aspect of each class here. That's not what that video is for. You can check out my class gameplay tips videos if you're looking for that kind of information. But the more common bugs, like the warriors and the gunners, this thing will put it down in one shot. Whereas with the Hawkeye, that's like about 4 shots for those bugs. So, if you want a higher kill count, you probably want to use the Hawkeye. If you want to go big game hunting and you want to go after mostly, the elite bugs, you want to go with the XXX. So, whatever type of support you want to give to the team, that's up to you. But my top pick is going to be the XXX because I want to go after the larger and more dangerous bugs. The Demolisher. What a fun class. So this depends. If you're using the perk extra primary, then I recommend using the Hawkeye and the grenade launcher. So with the grenade launcher, you're going to be running out of ammo fast, and you're going to be running out of ammo very often. And this thing is great at clearing out large groups of bugs. Not worth it to use it on 1 or 2 bugs. So what do you do if you're coming across like 1 or 2 bugs? Use the Hawkeye. Also, what if you are trying to get rid of a long-range bug like Gunner, Grenadier, Inferno? Use the Hawkeye. This is a very supporty type of class because it can get rid of bug corpses. It can get rid of large groups of bugs. But you run out of your ammo and your utilities really fast with this class. And what better way have a backup weapon than to equip the Hawkeye. This is a workhorse rifle, at least in my opinion. It can do a lot of things. That's what I recommend using. Or if you just want to blow up stuff non-stop, equip 2 grenade launchers. You can do that. The Guardian. I recommend using ePulse 88 CSW. It'll put a bug down for good, and if you got the DAX module, you're going to be doing it pretty fast. I don't like using... where is it? The saw. It takes forever to reload this thing. It doesn't really kill the bugs very fast. Like, I feel like the damage output on this thing is so low. Even though the armor piercing value is 4, I feel like it doesn't do much. So I recommend using ePulse 88 CSW, DAX module, extended mags, stabilized Sabo. You're looking for another one to use as your primary. Let's see, what would be a good alternative? Maybe the flamethrower, because you're going to be pretty durable. What else? You can go with the auto shotgun. I've seen a lot of people use it on the Guardian. I've used it a few times. It's pretty fun. You just walk right up to a bug and just shoot them in the face. They hit you, you're okay, you live, they won't. So that's kind of what I got. That's my opinions. Okay. Want to just throw it out there again. They will be different from what other people say. But ultimately, what really matters is that you play what is going to be like the most fun for you. If you're trying to min-max things, that's great. Then try to follow what I'm saying here and use what I mentioned. I think that's what's the best for each class. Yeah, you know, I'm just the guy just talking here on my little corner of the universe. So yeah, hopefully, you know, this helps you out, give you a preview of the weapons, how they work, what they do, the pros and cons of each weapon. Yeah. Well, anyways, I've been talking for a while. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. You'll be notified of when new stuff gets uploaded. And don't forget to check out the gameplay tips videos. There's a lot of good information in there. Some of it's outdated. Some of it might not always be helpful for you. But I try to have as much information there as possible to help out the community. Because there's a lot of things in this game that aren't really explained. So what I try to do with my playlist is provide the information and explanations so that people have an easier time to get into the game and immerse themselves in the game. Okay, folks. This has been Random Game Channel, and I'll catch you next time in the Field Troopers. See you there.